It's actually not quite doomed yet because I can outspeed it with her Shifu. But losing Tornado... Okay, maybe it's Scarf Shadow Rider. Well, it sure is VGC Legends time once again. This, of course, is the series where I spin a wheel, I get a random legendary Pokemon, I speed build a team around that Pokemon, and I try it out on the Scarlet and Violet Regulation I ladder on Pokemon Showdown. I do this because I like legendary Pokemon. I've always thought they were a very cool concept in the series ever since I was a kid, and I want to give each of them its due. And I also do this because speed building a bunch of teams is fun and entertaining for me and hopefully for you. I'll make some good teams, I'll make some bad teams. I've certainly done both in the last 30 parts of this. Made some teams that play in some different ways, and maybe I learned some things along the way. And as mentioned, this is part 31 of the series. The wheel started with 62 legendaries, so after this next spin, I'll be halfway through the wheel. And if I actually make it to every legendary in this series, I'll be halfway through the series after this one. If I don't make it to every legendary, then we're already in the second half. And so, I think you know what the questions are at this point. Will there be a Generation 2 legendary selected in the first half of the series? And with only Mewtwo remaining for Gen 1, will it be the pick this time, and will an entire generation be completed in the first half? Or will something else happen? One way to find out, let's spin the wheel. Still a lot of Gen 9 on there. It's not going to be Gen 2, we've blown past that. Once again, we're going into Gen 8. Is it Zacian or Zamazenta? We're ending the first half with Zacian. Every generation on the wheel is still there at the halfway point, and Gen 2, still not selected a single time. Let's take a look at Zacian. Well, it might be easy to forget in this case. Zacian is a Pokemon that has two different forms. Some people do use the Hero of Many Battles form, even though at face value it seems strictly worse. Crown Sword Zacian has better stats with, I think, 10 more base speed and 30 more base attack. That attack difference is really something. Of course, Intrepid Sword, I was going to say Intrepid Sword helps to make up for it, for the Hero of Many Battles form, but of course, Crown Sword Zacian also gets Intrepid Sword. What it can't do is run an item other than the Rusted Sword. It is locked to that one, but Hero of Many Battles Zacian can run a Clear Amulet, and then the Intrepid Sword boost can't be taken away by Intimidate. And that's really its niche, that it can run a different item, and it's not locked to the Rusted Sword, which does nothing except give Zacian this form difference. It feels a little bit weird to say that it's not an item, because effectively what it does is give Zacian Steel typing, 30 more base attack, and 10 more base speed. That's a pretty good item, I think. I didn't even mention the Steel typing yet, but that's very valuable as well. But, of course, in this generation, unlike in Sword and Shield, Intrepid Sword only activates once per battle, so as soon as it gets intimidated away, it's gone. And with a Clear Amulet, you can prevent that. I am definitely strongly leaning Crown Sword Zacian. Honestly, I don't think the Intrepid Sword nerf this generation is as big a deal as people say it is. I mean, far better players than me talk up what a huge nerf it is, so most likely they're right and I'm wrong. But in my experience playing Zacian, and I did play it a fair bit in Reg G, and I've tried it out here and there in Reg I mean, it just hits so hard even without the boost. And you can usually take advantage of the boost, at least for a little bit. And VGC games, especially in such a high-powered format, are quick enough that a lot of the time the boost is going to be very beneficial, even if it's only there for a short time. So I tend to think Crown Sword Zacian is better. I don't think I've ever actually tried Hero of Many Battles form, but I am going to seriously entertain both of them for a moment. We're going to look at our usual resources for this series. So here's the Top Cut Explorer page for the Bologna special event. I don't think I'm going to find... Nope, there's only Crown Sword Zacian here. I'm not going to find the other form. There's 17 teams in the top 256. An interesting mix of Terra types. Terra Dragon really fell off. A lot of people were using that early in the format. Terra Ground was more of a Reg G thing, I think, but it's mostly Terra Fairy, which makes a lot of sense. Zacian doesn't really need a defensive Terra type, and anyway, Fairy changes all its weaknesses regardless, because the Steel typing wipes out the Fairy type weaknesses before you Terra, and going Terra Fairy gets rid of the Fire and Ground weaknesses that are the only ones it has before Terra. Plus, Fairy is just a really good defensive type in the current format because there's not a lot that's going to hit it super effectively. Plus, on Zacian, it's a really good offensive type because you're usually running Play Rough. We can see the most common moves. Well, every single one in this event had Behemoth Blade, Play Rough, and Protect. And then there's a bit of a mix. The Terra Blast is probably on the ground Terra Zacian. Looks like 2 of them ran it and 1 didn't. That's interesting. Sacred Sword is usually my go-to these days. Substitute can also be very good, but I think I want to try Swords Dance because I haven't really before, and it seems like a menace. Kyogre was by far the most common restricted partner. One person paired it with Lunala. And if we look at the teams, highest placement was top 32. Very sort of typical Rain team. This one uses a Sarino, which is a Pokemon that's very common on Rain teams, but not one that I'm used to. So I'm going to take a closer look at that. My instinct is more, you've probably, if you watch my shorts especially, you've probably seen this concept many a time. I like Zacian, Kyogre, Tornadus, Landorus, Urshifu. I guess the last slot is pretty flexible, actually. I've just plopped a Raging Bolt into there sometimes, which looks like none of these players did. Grimmsnarl could be interesting. This one has Roaring Moon for the Tailwind Setter instead of Tornadus. I think the Incineroar Amoonguss duo could be very interesting, actually. We see it on this team. There's some other Amoonguss here. This one also has Incineroar Amoonguss, Grimmsnarl, Urshifu. I'll take a look at this one. But my instinct is more like Tornadus, Landorus, Urshifu, and something else. This was the highest placing Zacian in Bologna. This definitely looks like a team that I can be comfy with. They have the Scarf on Kyogre, and that's Taunt Urshifu with a Focus Sash. That's interesting. It makes sense, but it's interesting. They have double Taunt, actually. They really don't want opponents setting up Trick Room and whatnot, which makes sense on this kind of team. Taunt, Power Whip, Triple Axle, Protect. Terra Ice, Sarina. Cool, hits hard, no doubt. This is more of a bouncy version. This Kyogre has a Mystic Water and Protect. I think I'm more interested in going offensive, but like I said, I kind of want to try Swords Dance Zacian. So let's isolate those. And they were all used with Kyogre. They didn't do amazingly well. It wasn't an especially successful Zacian set in this field. This one with Chien-Pao and Rillaboom looks kind of fun. Food for thought. And then they have Brute Bonnet for redirection. Alright, I have an idea starting to come together. Let's look at Munch stats. Although I think Top Cut Explorer was more valuable in this case. Okay, we can see both forms of Zacian show up on this list, but I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can. 4.18% usage for Crown Sword form, and a whopping 0.01 for Hero of Many Battles form. A lot of them not running a Steel attack, because of course they don't get Stab on it, and they don't get Behemoth Blade, just Iron Head. I am not sold at all on Hero of Many Battles form. I thought it might be a little bit of an interesting switch up, but I do think Crown Sword form is probably just better. Most common moves are what we would expect. A lot of them are running Terra Fairy. Jolly Nature. One thing that's nice about Zacian... Actually, let me see. Okay, both forms of Zacian outspeed Miraidon, so that's good to know. That is one thing that's valuable about it. I'm committing to Crown Sword form. Although I am seeing a lot of Scarf Miraidon lately, and I gather there's a well-known team out there that uses it, and that's why I'm running into so many of them, so I do have to take that very seriously now. Kyogre, by far the most common restricted partner. I'm good with that. And then the question is, I think if I want Swords Dance Zacian, I think an Incineroar Amoonguss core makes a lot of sense, actually. So I think we're going to go outside of my comfort zone with Rain. A lot of them are running Urshifu. And then Grimmsnarl seems to be the last Pokemon on these teams, at least on the top teams. Although those aren't running Swords Dance Zacian, but I do think going more bouncy with it is a good idea. I think Tornadus is still valuable, though. One of these teams, two of these teams have Tornadus. And the rest have Roaring Moon, so they all have a Tailwind setter. I'm not really that sold on Roaring Moon. I mean, it's clearly decent. It's putting up some results, but priority is just so valuable on a Tailwind setter, and Tornadus just complements Kyogre so well. What kinds of Kyogre sets are these running? Let's look at the two that have Tornadus. So, yeah, these two. Mystic Water, 3 attacks, protect on both of them. They both have Scarf for Shifu. The Chien-Pao Rillaboom stuff is pretty neat, but there might not need to be a butt there. I think this is okay. I have Trick Room counterplay. I can consider Taunt on the Incineroar, maybe? Instead of what? Maybe Will-O-Wisp? So then it would be Terra Fairy, Swords Dance, Behemoth Blade, Play Rough, Protect. Giving up fighting coverage for just a ton of power. I'll take their lead here and do a Mystic Water Kyogre. Usually I lock it into a Mystic Water for the item and the first move. Usually I lock it into a Scarf set. Actually, are they running Water Spout or like Hydro Pump? These both ran Water Spout. Okay. Good with me. We'll give that a go. For Incineroar, honestly, Assault Vest Incineroar might not be bad on this team, but then I can't run Taunt on it. Then, of course, I'd also be running U-Turn instead of Parting Shot. Do Snarl, right? I could do, like, Assault Vest, Fake Out, Knock Off, Snarl, U-Turn. Because I like having that extra bit of defensive backbone, I think, on a team like this. Or I could just slap on safety goggles, run Taunt, and Parting Shot. Go back to it. Amoonguss probably wants Terra Water. Dark is an option as well to shut down Prankster taunts, but Water is nice defensively. Mental Herb or like a Citrus Berry. I think Mental or a Rocky Helmet actually, because opposing Rapid Strike or Shifu could be a real threat. I think Rocky Helmet is good. Regenerator. Then I probably want to invest in Physical Bulk, but I'll figure that out. Spore, Rage Powder. And then probably just Pollen Puff and Protect. I could consider Clear Smog. I could consider Sludge Bomb. I don't think I need Sludge Bomb. I mean, Sludge Bomb might be good on this team to help deal with grass types that give Kyogre and Tornadus some trouble, or Kyogre and Urshifu, I mean. Tornadus helps with grass types already with Bleak Wind Storm, and Kyogre on this team is able to switch moves and click Ice Beam if it has to, so I think Pollen Puff is fine with Protect. Pollen Puff also can hit grass types super effectively, of course. We'll go Scarf for Shifu. The same kind of I often use, so Surging Strikes, Close Combat, Aqua Jet. Ice Spinner could be kind of funny, but I think I want to be able to pivot. Covert Cloak Tornadus, Terra Dark, nothing unusual here. Did I remember to make this Terra Water? I did, good. Tailwind, Rain Dance, Bleak Wind Storm, and Taunt. And then there's still the Incineroar to figure out. Probably either Terra Ghost or Bug. Don't know that I feel super strongly about which. I think Ghost is okay here. I think this team ought to be pretty scary for an opposing Landorus or something to deal with anyway. Intimidate. If I don't pick safety goggles, I'm just going to run into a Mungus and Brute Bonnet all day, aren't I? I don't know. I think Assault Vest could make a lot of sense on this team. But alright, boring old safety goggles it is. Fake out. Knock off. Taunt. Parting shot, and I'll make some silly EV spreads and we'll look at the team. Okay, nothing new here, no last minute changes to my decisions. Just a Zacian that wants to set up with Swords Dance, get that speed boost from Tornadus, and or that defensive cover from Incineroar and Amoonguss, and tear through opposing teams. Let's see if we can do it. Gonna be a shiny Zacian, of course. I don't have a shiny Zacian in game because GameStop stores in my area don't tend to do distributions like that, as far as I can tell. When I lived in Toronto, I could get them easily, but I don't live in Toronto at the moment. Anyway, Miraidon, Ice Rider, Calyrex, Incineroar, Cornerstone Mask, Ogerpon, Urshifu, and Landorus. And immediately what I like here, seeing the Incineroar on the other side, is that with Swords Dance, I talked up the value of the potential value of a Clear Amulet on the other Zacian form because you can block Intimidate. And again, I don't think that's the most important thing in the world, but with Swords Dance, you can just blow through that Intimidate anyway because you get +2 while they send you just -1. It's a net gain. Zacian is faster than Miraidon, unless this one has a Choice Scarf, which a lot of them do now. That could be a reason to run Terra Ground Zacian again, actually. Might have been worth thinking about, but otherwise it'll be faster. I'm down to lead Zacian here. I also have Tailwind and they don't, but they have Trick Room, and I don't. I might just lead my Restricteds. Or I could do Zacian or Urshifu. Incineroar strong here. Let's do Zacian or Urshifu. Incineroar, Kyogre. And even though I talked up the Tailwind, I guess I'll just hope it's not Scarf Miraidon. I do have a problem, actually, which is they could Terrasilize. Let's try to scout for that, and you turn into the Calyrex. And I can go out to Incineroar. And even if they Volt Switch the Incineroar slot, I think I'd rather lose that than Urshifu in this position. Terra Electric. Electro Drift into Zacian. Terra Electric means I can't hit the Miraidon super effectively. Let's go Incineroar here. It's Clear Amulet, Calyrex. I can fake something out now, and I think Miraidon is the better target because it still might be Scarfed. And I can Behemoth Blade the Calyrex. They can't Terrasilize it. Actually, no, I want to attack the Miraidon. They might switch, but maybe I want a Swords Dance. I'm down to Behemoth Blade the Calyrex, I think. They switched to Incineroar. Okay. I get rid of my boost. Swords Dance might have been optimal there. I'll protect this turn and see if I can get a parting shot into Miraidon. Unfortunately, my two water types in the back have a lot of Miraidon issues. The Electro Drift Incineroar at KOs. I doubt that crit mattered. I guess I can get Kyogre in and Terra Grass now. And I'll go for a Swords Dance. They might just knock Zacian out, but they have to watch out for this Origin Pulse now. Electro Drift goes into Zacian. They do just knock it out. Not a great start for Zacian. They get rid of my Mystic Water, but this is still going to hit very hard. Knocks out Incineroar, does not knock out Miraidon. And for all my maneuvering, I still don't know the Miraidon's item either. I've not done well at information gathering here. But they've used their Terra. A lot might come down to what their last Pokemon is. Calyrex is in danger if it comes in here, and it does. I think it might... I'm really feeling a Scarf Miraidon here, especially with the Terra Electric, so I think it might be best that I Aqua Jet it. Because, of course, if it's Scarfed, it'll outspeed my Urshifu. Aqua Jet misses the KO. Not by a lot, but yeah, I hope it was Scarf Miraidon. Otherwise, I just completely misplayed in front of it. Calyrex takes the Origin Pulse and sets Trick Room. That's going to be GG, I think. But their last Pokemon is Landorus. So, let's see. They just Glacial Lance. Right, okay. Rough start, but we've had those before in this series. And sometimes bounce back. This opponent has Terapagos, Shadow Rider Calyrex, Fluttermane, Incineroar, Rillaboom, and Amoonguss. That looks hard to deal with for sure. Once again, I have Tailwind and they don't, so they're faster restricted. Being faster than mine is not the end of the world. They probably have speed control with the Fluttermane, but even so. And Sword Dance Zacian should be able to power through the Terapagos. But I'm not trying to downplay the Calyrex as a threat. I think Tornadus or Shifu is a pretty reasonable lead here, actually. I definitely bring Zacian. And probably Incineroar. Incineroar is very good into a lot of their team. It means leaving Kyogre behind, but maybe it should have been Assault Vest Kyogre, actually. Once I knew I wasn't running the Assault Vest on Incineroar. Because then I could take some of these special hits better. Wouldn't help in a Glacial Lance, of course. They lead Terapagos and Rillaboom. So Urshifu is kind of awkwardly positioned. I am curious also as to whether their Pokemon are named after MMA fighters. That's a fun nickname theme, if so. I haven't watched MMA in a long time. I used to in high school. I had a friend back then who was super into it. Anyway, I'm just going to hard switch to Incineroar. I don't want Urshifu taking a Grassy Glide or something. And I'm going to try to taunt the Terapagos. Okay, they fake out into what was the Urshifu slot. Terapagos just goes straight for Terra Starstorm. If I want Tailwind, I have to click it now. I would like to click Bleak Wind Storm, but let's go for a knockoff into Terapagos. The good news is Incineroar is in a decent position here. The bad news is I think it's going to be Tailwind or Rain Dance. Pick one in this game. And I think I value Tailwind. But then I really need to get my offense going if I'm going to get value out of it before the Shadow Rider comes in. Or maybe I need to play more carefully with Incineroar. Covert Cloak Terapagos. Still just attacks. Well, it's taunted. It never had a choice. I mean, Zacian is pretty safe to bring in here. They could have Flamethrower or Earth Power. They probably have one of those. Incineroar is faster than Terapagos, though, so I can Parting Shot. That leaves Urshifu vulnerable to Rillaboom, but I don't think they would hammer the Incineroar slot or anything like that here. So a Parting Shot Terapagos, and I'm going for Swords Dance. They throw off their Terra Stellar. Get the Parting Shot. Go Urshifu. They got rid of their own terrain, so the Rillaboom doesn't have priority anymore. That could be significant. They actually just U-turn it out so they can set the terrain right back up. That makes sense. I think I just attack the Shadow Rider here because I'm almost out of Tailwind turns. And I'm even going to Terra Water. And they could have a Focus Sash. What I'd like is for the Surging Strikes to KO the Shadow Rider and then the Behemoth Blade to go into Terapagos, but we'll see. Looks like that will be what happens. Shadow Rider's gone. +3 Behemoth Blade. Doesn't take out the Terapagos. And they knock out Urshifu, but I think Urshifu has done its most important job in this game already. Rillaboom will come in, it'll get intimidated. And I can fake it out and go for another Behemoth Blade into Terapagos. Right. Incineroar's ability did go first there. They switch Fluttermane in on the Behemoth Blade. It does get the speed boost from Photosynthesis. It does not have the Focus Sash. And on the very last Tailwind turn, we get rid of their last fast threat. Rillaboom does have its priority online, but it's at -1 attack, and both of these resist. And Grassy Glide is not very strong this generation, so this should be a win. I guess I could have high horsepower, but still -1 attack. Nope, it's Woodhammer and Zacian, doesn't do very much. We get a knockoff into Rillaboom here. For some damage. But I'm just focused on getting rid of this Terapagos, and then beating Rillaboom shouldn't be a problem, and no need to play it out, they forfeit. Alright, that was more like it for Swords Dance Zacian, although that Terrapagos took a +3 Behemoth Blade. Props to that Pokemon for that. I thought Zacian would kind of just sweep through everything at that point, barring a Focus Sash somewhere. Urshifu kind of came in clutch too, removing the Shadow Rider. Even with the threat of Rillaboom still on the board. And now here we face Groudon, another Shadow Rider, Sableye, which... that's a heck of a Pokemon to deal with sometimes. Probably has Gravity on this team. People like to pair Gravity with Groudon because it makes Precipice Blades more accurate and able to hit flying types. And then they have Amoonguss, Chi-Yu, and Walking Wake. So this could be a Weather War. I kind of want to lead Tornadus or Shifu again. Amoonguss and Walking Wake are problems for that lead. Amoonguss less so because I can Taunt or Bleak Wind it. The bigger problem is Sableye could have priority Thunder Wave or Will-O-Wisp and make Urshifu sad. I could lead Tornadus Incineroar, but that's rough into Groudon lead because Groudon probably has a clear Amulet and is immediately threatening to Incineroar. Incineroar is decent into the rest of their team except Walking Wake. I'm going to go with my first instinct though. And I think I just bring my Restricteds. It feels weird not bringing Incineroar to this game, right? When they have a Shadow Rider. But Urshifu should be able to help with Shadow Rider. There are definitely ways that can go wrong. Alright, I'll bring my Restricteds. But yeah, it might have been worth dropping one of them for Incineroar. They lead Sableye Groudon. They can fake out Urshifu, or they can just set Gravity, or they can Thunder Wave Urshifu, or Will-O-Wisp Urshifu, or Quash Urshifu even. But I'm going to click Rain Dance and Surging Strikes, and we'll find out together what happens. Oh, it's Sunny Day. That's a good attack. But hey, that's one move slot on the Sableye accounted for. Precipice Blades does some damage. I also can't taunt the Sableye because it's a Dark type. I think I want to preserve Urshifu. I actually think Urshifu is very important in this game. Problem is they can always Sunny Day. I'll get Tailwind here. That way Kyogre can at least attack before Groudon. They went for Disable into Urshifu, I guess, trying to disable the Surging Strikes. That's pretty scary. I'll go for Water Spout and Bleak Wind Storm. We'll probably be trying to land these moves in the sun. I mean, Water Spout will land, it just will be significantly weakened. But that Groudon is set up with Swords Dance. Pretty scary. I'm sure this Sableye knows Gravity, so there's only one move slot not accounted for. Groudon protects here. The Sableye can click Disable actually into Tornadus here to deny me another Bleak Wind Storm, so I'm going to click Rain Dance. They disabled Kyogre. I don't know why I didn't cover for that. Disable is such a weird move to play against. That might have been game losing. I could have just clicked Origin Pulse. Well, if they want a Sunny Day here, then hopefully I land my Bleak Wind Storm into both targets. I should have clicked Origin Pulse there, though. Disable is a move that can really mess with your head, much like Encore, and especially so when they're paired together. They went Walking Wake. This person's just been in my head rent-free all game. We also get the Thunder Wave Sableye confirmed, so I think I always lose to Shadow Rider now. Maybe not, if I get Tailwind back up. I have Zacian. Let's see if I can get this Surging Strikes into Groudon. Nope. But what I'm going to do here, I think... this doesn't work. Alright, I'm just going to play rough for Walking Wake, try to remove that. Both of these are so threatening to Zacian, but I mean, they could miss a Precipice Blades. They've never set Gravity. I could Terra Fairy, actually. I think that's totally viable here. It's not like I'm doing anything else with my Terra. Take the Precipice Blades a little better if it connects. And set Tailwind back up. They go Shadow Rider. They protect Walking Wake. Okay. They can switch Groudon back in and get the Sun back. But I think I have to Bleak Wind here to get past a possible Sash Shadow Rider. I think this would probably be going better if I just ran the typical... the typical Zacian Kyogre team that I'm used to. I have more tools to blast through this team. This one's a little frustrating right now. I mean, not in any kind of bad way. They're playing in a way that's frustrating me totally within the rules and spirit of the game. Try to get Rain back up. I'm just worried that they'll knock out Tornadus before I can keep attacking with it, and that would put me way behind. But they went for Precipice Blades here. This would be a good time to have Protect on Tornadus, but I don't. They can, and I think will just stall through, or just protect through this last turn of Tailwind. So I'll double into Groudon here. If they don't protect Calyrex, then at least I can land a Bleak Wind on it. And that's still valuable. They do protect. I've got Walking Wake. But now Tailwind ends and they get rid of my Rain. And I think they're going to knock out Tornadus here, but I think I just need the Tailwind. But I don't think I have enough left to beat both of these. Unless... I think it's Sash Calyrex. I was going to say unless it's not, but... Groudon takes a Behemoth Blade. Kind of figured it would. This is a different game if I click Origin Pulse on that one turn, but I didn't. So, deserved win by that opponent. GG to them. Let's see what we get next. Mic working? Good. Tyranitar. Okay, interesting. Female and Indeedee. Shadow Rider Calyrex. Zamazenta. Hearth, Flame, Mask, Ogerpon, and Raging Bolt. Once again, weather control is not a sure bet. Once again, Urshifu looks very threatening into their team, but the Raging Bolt is obviously a problem for it. Could also be Rocky Helmet and Indeedee. Doesn't have to be. I think this is just a lead Torn Ogre kind of game. Zamazenta could make that difficult, but I'll bring Zacian, of course. And I will bring Urshifu again. I am finding that I'm mostly, even with this attempt at a more bouncy Rain team, I am mostly just bringing the offensive core and leaving the bouncy pieces behind. With some lip service to Incineroar probably belonging in some matchups. So I think I would have been better off sticking to what I know with this team. But, you know, it's good to find that out. This is so cooked. They're just gonna... They can wide guard forever. Actually, they can't if I taunt the Zamazenta. Here a Ghost. Oh, Helping Hand. Oh, this is probably Specs Shadow Rider, isn't it? I'm not gonna get Tailwind, am I? Well, didn't see that coming. It's actually not quite doomed yet because I can outspeed it with Urshifu. But losing Tornadus... Okay, maybe it's Scarf Shadow Rider. Alright, well... I haven't seen a Scarf Shadow Rider in a while, but of course that's always an option for it. Oh, well played by them, I guess. That was a quick one. I'm going to get one more game, and I'm going to lean into some of the choices I made for this team. I'm gonna lead Zacian. I'm gonna intentionally look to set up Sword Stance with it, and I am bringing Incineroar and Amoonguss to this game as well, no matter what. We'll figure out the 4th Pokemon at preview. But the goal here is support Zacian, set up Sword Stance. This looks like a reasonable matchup for it. Right? I can taunt Dialga or Lunala. So I lead Zacian and Incineroar, I think. I accidentally clicked Kyogre, but that's fine. I probably do want to bring Kyogre. Maybe I want Urshifu in this one, actually. Wide Guard Lunala could make me sad. But not if I can threaten it with Zacian. I think Kyogre's alright, and I'll bring Amoonguss, like I said. That's got to be a low point for the series, that 3-turn game where I couldn't even land a hit. But hey, they just got me in best of 1 with Scarf Shadow Rider. Good for them. Alright, Hearthflame Mask Ogerpon is immediately a problem. I think I'm gonna... I can either Terra Fairy Sword Stance or I can Protect, I think. One of those is the call here. I'm not backing down. Terra Fairy Sword Stance. Taunt Lunala. Nope, Taunt Ogerpon. They just Moongeist Beam Zacian immediately. Hearthflame Mask Ogerpon is actually a... It actually kind of just hard counters what I want to do here, doesn't it? It really does. I don't know why they switched it out. I guess they'll knock out Zacian here anyway. Well, at least that +3 Behemoth Blade did a lot of damage to Dialga. That was cool. It would be really nice to have Urshifu in the back right now, but I don't. So Ice Beam Dialga, I guess, to cover for a Wide Guard. There's the Wide Guard. Freeze? No freeze. Trick Room? Trick Room. And Ursaluna. Alright, Origin Pulse. And hard switch to Amoonguss, because I think the Ursaluna will probably protect, so there's no use clicking Parting Shot into it. They protect both. Of course, I can't Spore the Ursaluna because it's burned, but what I can do is Rage Powder. And Origin Pulse. Air Ghost, okay. Earthquake. Should have known. It's next to Telepathy Dialga. The Rage Powder accomplishes nothing, but the Ursaluna is very weakened. I think my play next turn is actually just to Pollen Puff it. They Spiky Shield with the Ogerpon. Are they stalling out their own Trick Room because the Ogerpon is probably faster than Kyogre? I am running a slow, bulky Kyogre here. Obviously Rage Powder is useless because it's a Grass type. I can Pollen Puff it, or so Spore is also useless. I can Pollen Puff it or Pollen Puff Kyogre. Or just switch to Incineroar. I think I like that third option. And it looks like Kyogre has knocked it out anyway. Alright. You know what? That was a sloppy game in a series of sloppy games this video, but a win is a win. Zacian did not put in a ton of work. The Hearthflame Mask Ogerpon kind of countered the whole idea, but for some reason they let me land a +3 Behemoth Blade into Dialga, and it did more than half into a restricted Pokemon that resists it, and is not, not terribly weak bulk-wise. So we take those. Dialga definitely contributed to this game. After that, Kyogre was able to knock out the... Or Zacian contributed to this game. Kyogre was able to knock out the Dialga and close this out. This wasn't quite the result that I wanted from Zacian. I think I did learn something from this one, and I think it's if I'm building Rain in Reg I should stick with the higher tempo offense teams that I'm used to trying. I like the Swordfish duo of Zacian and Kyogre. I don't think it's the single best restricted duo yet, but I do think it's or right now, but I do think it's a very good one and one that I enjoy playing. But I enjoy playing it more with a Landorus on the team. Live and learn. I did sort of intentionally deviate from the Sword Stance Zacian teams that have seen a little bit of tournament success, and even then, Sword Stance doesn't seem to be the best set. But I wanted to try it out. And that's it for the first half of the series. If I actually make it through every legendary, then this is the halfway point. But of course, many legendaries left on the wheel, so we'll see what's next.